The massive starship hummed with quiet tension as Yuna sat motionless in her assigned compartment. Her silver-gray skin reflected the soft blue lighting, her almond-shaped eyes fixed on the small viewport showing endless space. She was not a prisoner, but she was not free either. The Stellar Confederation had decided her punishment would be harsh but calculated. A junior diplomatic envoy with an impressive academic record, Yuna had made a minor procedural error during an important negotiation. Her superiors believed sending her to a remote human settlement would teach her a lesson about precision and discipline. Her personal data tablet blinked with her transfer orders. New Horizon Colony, a frontier settlement on the edge of explored space, would be her new temporary home. She carried minimal personal belongings, a change of uniform, some communication devices, and a small memory crystal containing her family photographs. The transport pilot, a seasoned human named Garcia, occasionally glanced back at her through the cockpit screen. His look was not unkind, but professional and distant. Yuna knew humans had complex emotional responses, and she tried to appear calm and composed. As the ship approached the planetary system, Yuna reviewed her training materials about human colonies. New Horizon was established approximately 87 years ago, primarily as a resource extraction and scientific research outpost. The population was estimated at 5,000 permanent residents, with a diverse mix of backgrounds and specialties. Her briefing documents suggested she would likely be assigned menial administrative tasks, a form of soft punishment that would remind her of her current status in the Stellar Confederation's diplomatic hierarchy. She was expected to be obedient, efficient, and invisible. The ship began its descent, atmospheric friction creating a gentle vibration. Yuna could see the rocky, rust-colored landscape of the planet through her viewport. Compact buildings and protective energy shields were barely visible against the harsh terrain. Landing was smooth. The ship's mechanical systems worked perfectly, connecting with the colony's docking protocols. Yuna adjusted her standard-issue diplomatic uniform, a slate gray outfit designed for functionality rather than style. As the airlock opened, she saw a small group waiting. Her heart rate increased slightly, a natural physiological response to an unknown environment. A human male stood slightly forward, wearing a dark blue administrative uniform. His posture suggested leadership, his expression neutral and professional. "Diplomatic envoy Yuna," the man asked, his voice clear and direct. "Confirmed," she responded, her translator automatically adjusting her alien language into perfect human speech patterns. The man introduced himself as Juno, the colony's resource management director. He carried a standard data tablet and seemed more interested in her professional credentials than her personal background. "Your quarters are prepared," he said simply. "You'll be integrated into our administrative support team temporarily." Yuna noticed other colony workers around her. They showed neither excitement nor hostility, just a professional, almost indifferent acceptance of her presence. This was different from what her training had suggested about human behavior. The colony's interior was efficiently designed. Clean corridors, functional spaces, advanced technological interfaces everywhere. Everything seemed purposeful, without unnecessary decoration. Yuna recognized this as a survival strategy for a challenging planetary environment. Her assigned living space was compact but comfortable. A small sleeping area, a workstation, storage for personal items. Standard issue for junior administrative personnel, she realized. Nothing special, nothing punitive, just functional. As Juno briefed her about initial work assignments, Yuna realized her punishment might not be as terrible as she had imagined. The colony seemed to operate on principles of efficiency and mutual respect, concepts her own civilization often struggled to maintain. Little did she know, this assignment would change her life forever. The Stellar Confederation thought they were sending her away as a lesson. In reality, they were opening a door to an unexpected journey of discovery, understanding, and ultimately, love. The first day of her new life had just begun. The first week of Yuna's assignment passed quietly. She worked efficiently in the colony's administrative center, managing digital records and communication protocols. Her alien background made her initially cautious, always watching her colleagues carefully. Juno seemed to observe her work with a professional eye. He assigned her tasks that required precision and attention to detail, skills she possessed in abundance. Unlike her expectations of harsh treatment, the human team treated her as a competent team member. During lunch breaks, Yuna noticed something unusual. Human workers shared food, told stories, and laughed together. In her own civilization, work environments were strictly formal and emotionally restrained. Here, human connection seemed warm and genuine. One morning, a technical system failure occurred in the resource management database. Instead of blaming her as an outsider, the team worked together. Juno guided her through the repair process, explaining each step with patience. Yuna realized humans valued collaborative problem-solving. A young technician named May approached Yuna with a small container. "I brought extra rice for you," she said, smiling. "You might want to try our human food." Yuna was surprised. In her training, she had been told humans might be suspicious or hostile towards alien visitors. This simple act of kindness contradicted everything she knew. The colony's daily rhythm fascinated her. Workers moved with purpose but not with the rigid structure she was accustomed to. They seemed to balance efficiency with genuine human connection. Juno embodied this approach, professional yet approachable. During a routine meeting, Juno explained the colony's survival strategy. New Horizon faced challenging environmental conditions. Resources were limited, and every team member's contribution was crucial. This explained their collaborative approach. "We don't have room for unnecessary conflicts," Juno told her during a break. "Here, survival depends on working together." Yuna started understanding human complexity. Their adaptability was remarkable. Despite limited resources, they maintained a sense of community and individual dignity. This was different from her hierarchical civilization's approach. Slowly, she began learning human social cues. She observed how they used humor to reduce tension, how they supported each other during challenging moments. Her initial fear transformed into curiosity. Her language skills improved rapidly. The translation device helped, but she also started picking up nuanced communication styles. Humans communicated not just with words, but with tone, gesture, and subtle facial expressions. One evening, during a colony-wide maintenance check, a minor emergency occurred. A life support system showed potential instability. Instead of panic, Yuna witnessed remarkable teamwork. Everyone knew their role, moved efficiently, and resolved the issue quickly. Juno noticed her watching the emergency response. "Teamwork is our strength," he explained. "We train for these moments." Yuna realized her punishment was becoming an unexpected learning experience. The Stellar Confederation had intended to isolate and humiliate her. Instead, she was discovering a civilization far more complex than her training had suggested. Her work performance exceeded expectations. Juno began giving her more responsible assignments, recognizing her efficiency and adaptability. She was no longer just a diplomatic transfer, she was becoming a valued team member. The colony's social dynamics intrigued her. Humans seemed to balance individual identity with collective needs. They respected personal space but also maintained strong community bonds. This was a delicate balance her own civilization struggled to achieve. As weeks passed, Yuna's perspective shifted. The humans were not the primitive, aggressive species her training had described. They were nuanced, resilient, and surprisingly compassionate. Juno continued to be a professional mentor, but something else was slowly developing. A mutual respect, an understanding that went beyond mere workplace interaction. Yuna found herself looking forward to their conversations, appreciating his insights. She did not yet understand that this unexpected interaction was the beginning of a journey that would change everything: her understanding of humanity, her own identity, and her future. The colony of New Horizon was slowly becoming more than just a place of punishment. It was becoming something unexpected, a new home. Yuna's understanding of human culture began to deepen during unexpected moments. Juno started sharing stories about human history during their work breaks, revealing layers of complexity she had never imagined. One evening, while reviewing colony reports, Juno explained the concept of personal freedom. Humans fought long battles to choose their own paths, he said, showing her historical documents about civil rights movements. Una realized these were not just historical records, but stories of profound human struggle. The colony's library became her unexpected classroom. During free hours, she studied human literature, art, and social development. Each book revealed something remarkable about human resilience. Stories of individuals overcoming massive challenges fascinated her, something her own rigid civilization rarely celebrated. Juno noticed her growing interest. He began bringing additional resources, explaining nuanced human emotions that had no equivalent in her own language. Concepts like empathy, personal choice, and individual dignity were slowly replacing her previous understanding. Human music particularly intrigued her. Unlike the structured mathematical compositions of her civilization, human music carried raw emotional depth. She discovered how a simple melody could communicate complex feelings, something her people considered impossible. The colonies celebrated various cultural festivals. Una watched humans commemorate historical moments, remember important individuals, and connect across generational lines. These were not just celebrations, but ways of preserving collective memory and individual stories. During a colony-wide celebration, Juno explained the importance of family and personal connections. "We are not just workers," he said, "we are individuals with stories, dreams, and connections." Una observed how humans balanced professional responsibilities with personal relationships. They worked hard but also valued moments of personal joy. Colleagues became friends, work teams became extended families. Her translation devices struggled to capture the emotional nuances of human communication. She learned that humans communicated through more than words, through tone, gesture, subtle facial expressions that carried deep meaning. The colony's approach to problem-solving fascinated her. Instead of rigid hierarchical decisions, they used collaborative discussions. Everyone's perspective was valued, from senior administrators to junior technicians. This democratic approach was revolutionary to her. Juno began teaching her about human philosophical concepts. Ideas of individual rights, personal growth, and collective responsibility were complex and beautiful. These were not just abstract concepts, but lived experiences in the human community. She learned about human adaptability. Facing challenging planetary conditions, the colony had developed innovative survival strategies. Limited resources did not mean limited imagination. Humans transformed challenges into opportunities for growth. Cultural exchanges became more frequent. Una started sharing aspects of her own civilization, discovering that genuine curiosity existed on both sides. Juno listened with genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions about her background. The rigid boundaries of her previous understanding started dissolving. Humans were not primitive or aggressive, as her training suggested. They were complex, emotional beings with an incredible capacity for growth, understanding, and connection. Her personal transformation became visible. Colony members noticed her changing perspective, her growing comfort with human social interactions. What started as a punishment was becoming a journey of profound personal discovery. Juno remained a consistent guide, but their interactions were changing. Professional respect was slowly developing into something more nuanced, a genuine mutual understanding that transcended their different biological origins. Una realized the Stellar Confederation's punishment had become her most significant learning experience. Every day revealed new layers of human complexity, challenging everything she previously believed. The colony of New Horizon was teaching her more than professional skills. It was teaching her about humanity, its struggles, its beauty, its incredible potential for connection and growth. As weeks turned into months, Una understood that her journey was just beginning. The cultural revelation was not just about understanding humans, but about understanding herself. Something unexpected was emerging, a connection that would challenge everything she knew about relationships, culture, and the possibility of understanding between different species. The communication arrived without warning. A high-priority quantum transmission from the Stellar Confederation, demanding Una's immediate return. The message was cold, bureaucratic, treating her like a misplaced piece of equipment rather than a living being. Juno intercepted the transmission first. His face changed, something between determination and quiet anger. He understood what this meant for Yuna, and more importantly, what it would mean if she was forced to leave. Colony leadership gathered quickly. They were not a typical administrative group, but a tight-knit community that protected its own. Yuna watched, understanding something significant was happening, but uncertain of the outcome. The Confederation's demands were clear. Yuna was to be returned immediately for reassignment and disciplinary review. Her temporary transfer was now being interpreted as a complete recall. No explanations, no discussions. "We won't allow it," Juno said quietly during a private meeting. His words carried weight, not just as a statement, but as a commitment. Yuna realized the humans were preparing to challenge an entire interstellar governing system for her sake. Colony communications specialists began preparing a formal response. They analyzed the transmission, found technical loopholes in the original transfer agreement. Humans, Yuna was learning, were exceptional at finding creative solutions to complex problems. The next few days were tense. Communication protocols were carefully managed. Every word, every digital transmission was calculated. The colony was preparing a diplomatic resistance that would challenge the Stellar Confederation's authority. Juno explained the strategy to Yuna. "We're going to prove that your transfer was improper, that you've become an integral part of our community," he said. His voice was calm, his eyes determined. The colony's legal team discovered multiple procedural errors in the original transfer document. Small technical details that, when combined, created a compelling argument for Yuna's right to remain. Yuna watched in amazement. Her own civilization would never challenge a superior directive with such systematic, careful resistance. Humans combined emotional commitment with precise, logical strategy. Communication channels between New Horizon and the Stellar Confederation became increasingly complex. What started as a simple recall order was transforming into a significant diplomatic challenge. Colony leaders presented evidence of Yuna's contributions. Her work records, her integration into the community, her value to the colony's operations. Each document was carefully prepared, each argument methodically constructed. The Confederation's response became increasingly aggressive. They threatened economic sanctions, communication restrictions. But the colony stood united, treating each threat as another problem to be strategically solved. Juno's role became crucial. As Resource Management Director, he provided critical strategic insights. His understanding of bureaucratic systems allowed the colony to navigate complex diplomatic challenges. Yuna realized something profound was happening. This was not just about her individual fate. This was about a small human colony challenging a massive interstellar administrative system, defending an individual's right to choose. Her personal transformation became symbolic. From a diplomatic punishment transfer to a valued community member, her journey represented something larger than herself. The humans were fighting for a principle, not just a person. Weeks of careful negotiation followed. The colony used every available communication channel, every legal and diplomatic strategy. They were not just defending Yuna, they were making a statement about individual rights. The Stellar Confederation had not expected such organized resistance from a small frontier colony. Their bureaucratic systems were designed for compliance, not for dealing with creative, committed human determination. As negotiations continued, Yuna's relationship with Juno deepened. What had started as a professional interaction was becoming something more, a partnership built on mutual respect, understanding, and shared resistance. The system was being challenged, not through violence or aggression, but through intelligent, systematic resistance. Humans were showing that true power came from unity, creativity, and an unwavering commitment to individual dignity. Yuna understood that her fate was no longer just her own. She had become part of something larger. A community that would fight for its members, regardless of their origin. The battle was just beginning, but for the first time, Yuna felt she was not alone. The final resolution came unexpectedly. After months of diplomatic tension,
the Stellar Confederation suddenly went silent.
New Horizon Colony had effectively created a legal shield that made Yuna's forced removal impossible. Juno stood beside Yuna during the final communication, his presence both protective and supportive. The colony had become her home, and he had become more than just a colleague. Something deeper was growing between them, a connection that transcended species and cultural boundaries.
The commitment ceremony was simple but profound.
Unlike traditional alien or human rituals, it reflected the unique story of their relationship. Colony members gathered, representing a community that had fought for her right to exist, to choose, to belong.
Yuna wore a modified traditional garment.
Part of her original culture, part adapted to human design.
Juno's outfits similarly blended both their cultural backgrounds. It was a visual representation of their unexpected journey.
The colony's leader performed the ceremony, speaking about unity, choice, and the power of understanding. Humans and Yuna's species had been considered incompatible, yet here they were proving that connection could overcome any predetermined limitation.
During the ceremony, Yuna remembered her initial arrival.
She had been a punishment transfer, expected to be invisible and insignificant. Now she was at the center of a moment that would become a historical milestone for both her civilization and the human colony. Their union was more than a personal commitment. It represented a bridge between two different species, two different ways of understanding existence. The Stellar Confederation's attempt to isolate and punish her had resulted in something unexpected, a profound connection.
Juno's vows were simple but powerful.
He spoke about choice, about seeing beyond biological differences, about creating a future based on mutual respect.
Yuna's translation device captured not just his words, but the emotional depth behind them.
Colony members celebrated with a mixture of traditional human practices and adaptations that included Yuna's cultural elements. Music played, food was shared, and the entire community participated in welcoming their new union. The Stellar Confederation's communication channels remained silent. Their elaborate punishment had transformed into something they could not control or understand.
A small frontier colony had successfully challenged their entire administrative system. Yuna's research background became valuable in the colony.
Instead of being marginalized, she was now a respected team member, her unique perspective contributing to complex problem-solving strategies.
Her alien background was no longer a punishment, but an asset.
Their living quarters reflected their unique relationship.
Technological interfaces combined human and alien design principles.
Personal items from both their backgrounds created a space that was neither completely human nor completely alien, something entirely new.
The colony continued to thrive.
Their successful resistance against the Stellar Confederation became a case study in diplomatic strategy. Small communities could challenge large, rigid systems through unity, creativity, and unwavering commitment.
Juno and Yuna's relationship evolved constantly.
They were partners in every sense, professionally, personally, culturally. They represented a new model of understanding, of connection that went beyond traditional boundaries. Years later, their story would be told as an example of how understanding could overcome predetermined limitations. A punishment transfer had become a powerful narrative of choice, resistance, and unexpected love. The colony of New Horizon had not just survived. It had created something revolutionary, a community that valued individual dignity above bureaucratic rules, that saw potential where others saw only differences.
Yuna looked at Juno, her partner, her home.
The silver gray of her skin contrasted with his human features, but their connection was seamless. They had created a future neither of their original cultures could have imagined. The universe was vast, filled with countless civilizations and potential conflicts. But here, in this small colony, they had found something more powerful than any administrative system, genuine human connection.
Their union was not just a personal commitment.
It was a statement about the potential of understanding, about the power of choosing connection over division. And it had all started with an unexpected transfer, a punishment that became a profound journey of discovery.